Hi, Mark here from the Tangent-Bound Podcast Network and host of the flagship show, the Tangent-Bound Podcast. Did you know that we over at Tangent-Bound are always looking for amazing podcasts to promote? And did you also know that we are also proud nerds and geeks of everything from movies, music, gaming, TV shows, and comic books to wrestling, MMA, soccer, and football? Whatever you can nerd or geek out about, we've got it. And if you're interested, we can help you find it. And if you're a show looking for a place to call home, we've got you covered. Side effects may include upset stomach, dizziness, tumors, shakes, and in some rare cases, death from excessive laughter. Though to be fair, it's only sometimes. Other side effects may include diarrhea, gallstones, heart palpitations, and strong desire for cookies on the dark side. Talk to your doctor and visit TangentBoundNetwork.com and see if Tangent-Bound Network is right for you.
This is a Danger Entertainment podcast. DangerEntertainment.net. Danger Entertainment Podcast Network.
Welcome to the podcast from Temperance Town, the sexiest podcast of world renowned. Tony grows a beard to hide his chin, swabs it with Earl so it glistens.
Salty, salty language, kings of the sexy frontier.
Download the pod, you won't get enough of these dapper chaps talking deadly fluff. In Hobo Gulch they run a homeless mission, clanging and banging with the pentagram of kittens.
Salty, salty language, kings of the sexy frontier.
They enjoy their whiskey and local craft beer. By Odin's unkempt pubis we give a cheer. Tony's a raccoon when he's booziest. Don't be a savage, be an enthusiast.
Salty, salty language, kings of the sexy frontier.
On the frozen tundra they call it a lock. Tony likes to masturbate in a sock. Bryan pisses rocks cause it feels so great. I still don't know who the fuck is Tate.
Salty, salty language, kings of the sexy frontier.
The boys will let you know when there's a spurler. Due to male pattern baldness, they don't wear curlers. Stay salty, people, that's their closing line. And don't forget, have a beer, you'll be fine.
Salty, salty language, kings of the sexy frontier. Salty, salty language, kings of the sexy frontier. Salty language.
Hey enthusiasts, what's happening? This is Salty Language, episode 335.
Oh shit. The more Bryan is, Stunamiest, Bryce Ceratopus podcast on the network.
Love it. As you can tell, that's not Tony. If you're, previous listener. Anyway, I'm Bryan. Joining me this week, because Tony's a crazy person driving home from Florida, is my co-host from The Crazy Life, Henno.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah. So,
what?
Showtime!
Woo! It's a very weird feeling to be doing this show without Tony. It's been a long time. So yeah. But pretty cool. I figured I'd have Henno come in because we do The Crazy Life and we can kind of cut loose a little bit on this one, unlike on that show.
Yeah, I don't have to say darn.
Yeah.
And shucks.
Right. For anybody, if you haven't listened, go check us out on The Crazy Life. We talk about mental health or just wellness overall and talk about our journeys doing it and everything. So Christmas was just over. How was your Christmas?
I learned I'm getting old.
All right.
I decided to help out my groomer they had this, like dog washing places have tubs and they're like elevated,
Yeah.
so they can stand, and wash the dogs and stuff.
Sure.
And she sent me a text message one day and was just like, hey, do you know any handymen? And I'm like, okay, she's either totally fishing or she's actually asking me whether I know anybody.
Right. Or she knows your work and she's looking for a quality. No.
Well,
Yeah.
Hey, but you never know. Some people are, so I was like, well, I'm like, yeah, I do, but what's going on? And she said, she's told me that she thinks she's got some mildew in the drywall. And I'm just like, oh, okay, well, drywall is totally one of my specialties. I mean, it's one of the things I can honestly say to people, I'm really good at this.
Right.
Like I can go into a unit and cut holes in all the walls and walk away a week later like I was never in the place.
Nice.
I mean, it's really something that I've spent most of my life doing because I deal with a lot of leaks and you got to get good at that.
Yeah, right.
Right? So I was like, you know what? I'll come by and check it out. So I go over there and she says, well, it's in that corner back there. And so I pull back the corner and it's like, whoa, holy shit, where's my gas mask? I mean, it was like the mold smell was unbelievable.
Wow.
It was it literally was like, okay, we need and I pulled it back and I look and I could see some of it, but a lot of it's just covered. And I said, okay, what do you want to do? She's like, cause it's like this, like commercial carpet that they glue down.
Yeah.
Like it's really thin, it's like mostly rubber with the top, right?
Yeah.
And I peeled some of it back and it was just like, whoa, okay. And she's like, well, I want to get rid of all this carpet and just have vinyl around, linoleum stuff all the way around. Mm-hmm. I was like, all right, well, let me come in after work on Sunday and tear this up and see what we're getting into first.
Right.
And so I went there on Sunday and I took this piece. I mean, it was gnarly in this corner. I mean, it was nasty. And I brought bleach along and I bleached the hell out of it. And then I put in some I tore up all the shitty carpet and I just put in like a tarp in the area because it's like you got tub and then 3 feet away is a wall. Excuse me. So it's like this little cove of festering.
Oh, geez.
Chemistry creation or biology,
Yeah.
And so I covered that stuff up and I was like, okay, yeah, this is what we can do. I'm like, well, you're going to be gone for Christmas, so it'd be a good chance for me to do it. I said, I'd love to do it as a trade because then I'll trade grooming for Sharon's dog. And, then she doesn't have to worry about paying for this. Mm. And so I decided I knew I was going to have to work a couple hours in the morning on Christmas Day. Just we have like routine to do, and we have 44 out of 63 people units occupied.
Oh wow!
Which is it's just really a lot. We usually have 12 units occupied all year round.
Yeah.
Right. So those are all units where they're opening Christmas presents with the volume. Of boxes and wrapping paper that we get. And it's just unbelievable. And so we just have to be there. So I'm like, all right, I'll go by on, I'll go in for a couple hours on Monday morning and then go over and do the work. So I go over there, start pulling stuff out. Stuff's still wet.
Oof.
I was like, damn. So I start doing what I can, but I'm putting fans on things and I'm tearing stuff out. And cause I'd gone a couple nights before and got a nice sheet of vinyl. And I got it all planned out. And I think I'm going, everything I'm ready to do. So it was about 1 in the afternoon, one or two, where I'm finally prepped. I'm ready. I got the vinyl on the floor. I go back to my work just to check in on some stuff and have some lunch. And I go back there, and now the thinking starts because I need to ramp this stuff up the walls because I want to make it so any water that drops down now has nowhere to go.
Right.
And so there was a lot of braining involved, and that it's just really the hardest part. But then I start putting it in, and after about an hour, I'm like, oh, that's right. This is why I don't fucking do this anymore. Or where there's two things that I don't do. I don't do floors and I don't do tile.
Yeah.
Like I've got plausible deniability. If anyone says, I do tile, nope. I've never done it.
Right.
And I never will. And then I get a message from a buddy of mine saying, Merry Christmas. And he was my old partner from back in Marin when we used to have a little handyman business. He did all the tile and all the floors. I'm like, you fucker. Because I would go and cut one thing and then it's like, oh man, now this is off, or like, okay, I need a few inches here, and I'm like, oh, that was the wrong direction, and then I'm like, okay, we're not going 12 inches up the wall, we're going down to 8, and then it's like I set the straight edge at 8. All right, I guess we're going down to 6 now. So 9 o'clock rolls around. I've been at work. I got to work at 8:30-ish on Christmas Day. It's now 9 o'clock. I'm finished vacuuming. I know there's people that live downstairs from the place because I used to live in the unit below. And so I'm like, there are things I wanted to do, but I couldn't do, and I wasn't going to start running the shop back at 9.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I'm just, when you just haven't had enough water, I'm just dehydrated. I'm just done. And I get up and my fucking knees hurt so bad. Like they're just sore.
Yeah.
And I've had knee pads on, but they always slip off and, and my lower back. And I'm just like, oh man, this is why I don't,
Yeah.
Like, so I get home. I'm just like The Walking Dead into the house, just brain raped. I get to the fridge. I open it up. Sharon saved me a slice of pizza. I was like, yes. I eat the pizza. I'm like, just, walking back to my bed. Take my clothes off. I crawl into bed. It's like 10 o'clock and I'm wide awake.
Of course. Yeah.
I mean, I am I'm so tired when I'm wide awake. I think I fell asleep at like midnight.
Oh, geez. That's brutal.
Finally.
Yeah. When you're that exhausted and you just can't sleep, it's brutal. Now,
the next day, I get done with work. I go there. I do the hammering I have to do. I trim some edges. And by the time Leanne, the owner, showed up on Thursday, when I went by, I was doing little bits here and there, and I dropped the dogs off. And I mean, there's a couple corners where I was just like silicone. I mean, there was like nothing matching there,
Yeah.
I felt good about the waterproofing, but I just wasn't sure how it looked. And so I go to pick up the dogs, and Leanne is finally there, and she's like, "Oh my God, I love it!" Blah blah blah. I'm like, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I told her, I'm just like, oh, like there's just things. I love electrical. I love plumbing. I love things that I can do within a couple of hours. Yeah. I generally try to avoid large projects that I really can't tell how long it's going to take.
Right.
And in the end, it's all going to be good because I consider this is the bro deal, right? I'm doing something for a friend.
Yep. And
I'm also helping out Sharon because she won't have to, we'll figure out a trade and yeah, it all felt really good, but it was just rough.
Yeah. Oh, geez, I bet. Wow, that's a very odd way of spending Christmas.
It really. Well, that was the thing is, so Sharon and I always do. Oh, I got an update, by the way, on Sharon's sister.
Oh, really?
And the gifts.
Ah, all right.
I didn't think about this. What a great opportunity. Okay, for those of you who missed last week's Salty Language on worst Christmas gifts.
Right.
And I mean, I shit you not. Sharon has literally opened up the boxes of what she gets from her sister and showed me. And I'm just like, you don't even wear clothing in those colors. Like it's like Sharon's entire closet is black and earth tones.
Right.
It's browns and blacks, the whole thing's. And there'll be a pink sweater.
Right.
And so she literally sits and then there's all this like nail polish and lipstick and it's all like fuchsia and stuff. So she literally sits there and just upends the box into a garbage can. I mean, it's the honest truth,
Right.
And so they came out on Saturday, and we actually had a really fun little Sun Valley day. We went up there was not a lot of snow, so they're not doing the sled rides, but they run the wagon on its wheels. So, we're just on the, behind a couple of horses, just cruising down the road. It's place I'd ride my bike down all the time, but it was just kind of fun. And we walked around and went and had a really good lunch and really had a good time. So we get back to the house and we're sharing gifts. And I open, the first one was, a beanie with LEDs built into the front of the beanie.
Yeah.
And they're like, like the sun. I mean, they're awesome. Like, it's perfect for walking the dogs.
Oh, so like a nightlight kind of deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, and they're built right in. They shoot straight down. I mean, it's a perfect gift. And then the other boxes full of bulbs and wildflower seeds.
Wow.
Which I love. I mean, anyone that follows me on Facebook, I'm always posting pictures of my wildflowers and bulbs and all this stuff. And I guess like the year before, they had bought like this big, huge box of bulbs and asked Sharon if it might be a good gift to split them with me. And Sharon's like, nah. And I'm like, it's better than the iPod arm thing that I don't even have an iPod for.
Right.
So
she wanted you to have as bad of a gift as she did. That's all. Yeah.
So Sharon opens her gift and it's a print. It's a hand. I mean, it's a hand drawing, right? Mm-hmm. It's of the upper torso of a man covered in tattoos holding a French bulldog.
Ah.
And it's amazing.
That's cool.
Like, it's really cool. Like, she was at some, art festival and saw this and then later went back and bought it and had it framed and everything and probably spent some money on it. And so it was like super like, wow, Susan, you rock, like totally redeemed herself.
Yeah.
Nothing went in the garbage.
Right. Well, it would have been awkward to do that right in front of her.
Well, the funny thing is, when I answered the Q&A, I did it on Facebook, and Sharon saw it, and she's like, she can't see this, can she? And I'm like, I better email.
I was wondering, because normally you do post there or on Twitter or something. So
Twitter,
yeah. When you emailed, I was like,
yeah. And then Christmas, we usually, Sharon, I'm a Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
My whole family's been Christmas Eve.
Right.
Sharon's always been a Christmas Day. And so I've just kind of adopted the Christmas Day thing. It was never my family's tradition, but it's always worked out. But because of the way work was going and I worked all day on Sunday. And when I got home, it was like, Sharon, we were supposed to go up and hang out with my friend Angela, bring a pizza up there. And this was actually really cool. I'm dressed. I'm ready. We got the pizza. We got various fixins to bring. We're going to head up there. And all of a sudden I hear from the other side, I'm taking a shower, everything. And I hear Sharon from the other side of the room, Angela's not feeling well. She's going to bed. And I'm literally like just dropping my pants, sticking my shirt off as I'm walking across
right.
Like I literally had bags of stuff and I'm dropping them. Literally there was just my clothes everywhere that I was going to wear. Put the pajamas back on. Flop down, hit the guide on the TV. Oh, Armageddon's on. I hear Sharon from the other side of the room. Armageddon. I love Armageddon. Really? Wow. A movie we can actually watch. Because like we watched no movies together.
That's funny.
And then I'm like, so we had all of these like, Angela, no meat on pizza, right? Yeah. So we had green peppers, red peppers, blah, blah, blah. All these different things to put on the pizza. And I go, we put it's just a cheese pizza that you get at the grocery store. It's from a local place. Uh-huh. And we were going to throw some stuff on it. And I was like, all right, Sharon, what do you want on the pizza? And she just goes, I want the Canadian bacon and the pineapple. And I'm like, I can't wait to tell Bryan about this one.
Damn it.
And of course I posted on Facebook and I get all this, well, if you remove the fruit, it's a pizza.
Right? It is one of the most polarizing topics on the internet. It really is. It may be more polarizing than politics,
Exactly. Like it was like all of a sudden all these negative comments from people right. And I'm just like, I'm happy to be watching a movie with my wife that we can both enjoy,
right.
And we get to the end of Armageddon and we're both like, he's our hero. I don't know why I freaking cry in the movie at the end. I just want to shake the hand of the woman, the bravest man I've ever known.
Yeah. Right. Oh, man. That movie. Yeah. So, just hearing the name of that makes me twitch a little bit. 'Cause I told you this before. when I worked at Hollywood Video, when the movie came out on video, we had this thing that would run in the store from noon until 9 at night. And basically every 15 minutes or half hour, something like that, I would hear the Aerosmith song, the Don't Want to Miss a Thing.
That's the, yeah.
Oh, I can never hear that song again and be cool.
I can't either.
Yeah.
That's the only part of that movie where I get up and I'm just like, oh, here it comes. I get up, I start walking away, and all I hear is Sharon singing it in the background because she loves it. And I'm just like, fuck you.
Oh, man.
I'm going to go poop.
I was never happier to get rid of I forgot what those were called, but I was never happier to get rid of one of those promo tapes, because I literally took it outside and like office spaced it, like they do on the printer. I mean, I stomped on the thing and snapped it and it felt great, but man, yeah.
Yeah. So then afterwards we pulled most of the gifts were from my parents and my family and stuff. My dad got me a couple of really cool books that I'm looking forward to reading. And my sister's the kind who just says, what do you want? And I said, a Soda Stream. So she sent a Soda Stream. She doesn't even wrap it. She just sends it right from Amazon.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
And my mom, socks, underwear, sweet, just long underwear. And here's
which is so funny because I mentioned that, as a kid, that was like the worst thing to get, as an adult, you're like, cool, I could use it.
Yeah. I'm totally like, cool. I can get rid of all my old socks and I'm fresh,
Right.
And, and then what's crazy is so my mom buys Sharon clothes and just nails it every time.
Huh.
It's the right size. It's the right colors. It's the right everything. And there's her sister who's known her whole life buying her fuchsia sweatshirts.
Right.
It's just, it's crazy. So we, but the coolest gift is I had this thing. It was obviously a box of Coke. It was Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And I hadn't opened it. I just set it up there and I had no idea who it was from. And I opened it up. And it's a 6-pack of little 8-ounce bottles, and I pull one of the bottles out, and it has my name on it.
Oh, that's cool.
And I pull the other bottle out, and it's got Sharon's name on it. And it was 3 of Sharon and 3 of me, and there's a little card in there, and I open it up, and the first thing it says is from Jason Heiter, and I'm like, I don't have a relative named Jason. And then I finally saw another little card in there, and it said from Jason and Stephanie. So it's Stephanie, my co-host on Gotham Lights.
Oh, okay.
Stephanie Muniz.
Right.
And Agent Palmer.
Oh, okay.
and
That's funny.
They're dating now. So if you don't listen to any of their shows that they're involved with, you wouldn't know it. But yeah, right. Agent Palmer and Steph are an item, and they'll eventually be moved. And it was like, when you get just the most. There's always some gift that just surprises you, right?
Yeah.
That where you're just like, wow, that was really thoughtful.
Yeah. Yeah, where it just nails who you are. Yeah.
And you weren't expecting it.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it wasn't something on your list or something,
Yeah, and it wasn't from somebody that I would ever think that would send me something or anything, right?
Right.
And it was just that was the gift of the night. It's funny, it can be something so simple.
Yeah. That makes sense. That was
really cool.
like me getting that avatar given to me by my friend B.
Oh, yeah.
That was that too,
yeah.
like when that happened, because I love Aaron's artwork, and I haven't had the spare money to do it because I was going to, but I've never done it. And, when she did that, it was totally unexpected, but it was awesome, because something I had wanted, hadn't told anybody I wanted, but, I appreciate art, Aaron's a friend, so it's just hit on various marks, I was, really cool.
So that was pretty much my Christmas weekend. How about you?
Well, the family came over on Christmas Eve because my mom's side always did. Well, my dad's side, my dad's side was always just my brothers, my mom and dad, and me and my grandma. And we would get together on Christmas Day and have dinner. We'd open presents from grandma basically. And, but on Christmas Eve, my mom's family gets together. And it's weird because that get together has grown and shrunk and grown, because, like my one cousin, her son and daughter now have kids of their own, so they kind of do their own thing because that's a whole deal on its own now, you know.
Yeah.
So that's happened with a few people, which is fine. Again, most of my family lives right around here. So again, we can go visit each other, you know. But yeah, you know, people came over, you know, I forgot how many were here, probably like 20 or so. And
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, actually there weren't many kids this time, actually.
That's a lot of people in your place.
Yeah. It might not have been that many, but it was something, you know, 15, 20 people, somewhere in that range.
That's cool though.
Yeah. And you know, and it was nice. There was no like family bickering. Not that there always is, but you know, there's always that potential, you know, but there was none of that. It was nice. We, you know, we had some decent, you know, had some good foods and whatever. And, yeah, I'll tell you though, when everybody left, my favorite part of the night was that first minute after the last person left. You know, when you have this no noise and you're just like,
It's true. There is a feeling to that after a party.
Yeah. And I'll say this, and you know, we'll talk about this more on the Crazy Life this week, but, my anxiety didn't really ramp up. And normally, even with family, a group like that, usually at some point I'll have to walk away, you know, just to, you know, get my breath again or, you know, focus on breathing and then go back. So I was pretty happy with that.
Well, and it's not like where you live is some huge mansion either. That's a lot of people in a small space.
Yeah. I mean,
that's pretty huge.
Yeah, exactly. It's tough, you know, with a decent amount of people to really get away unless you go outside or into the bathroom or something. Or, you know, I could have went in my room.
Shit. It's just like Tony here in the background.
Oh,
you hear that?
Yeah. Well, good. You brought Fury Road to the podcast.
Yeah,
too.
Seriously. That was like a Harley just went down the road.
Funny. You know, and then a little while, you know, after everybody left, we cleaned up, you know, what still needed to be cleaned up and, you know, put leftovers in the fridge, all that kind of stuff. And then my mom was like, well, do you want to exchange gifts now or tomorrow? And I'm like, I don't care. You know, we've done it on Christmas Eve for a long time. Because honestly, as we got older, none of us wanted to get up early. So after the family gimmick, we would come home and do, you know, gifts real quick and then everybody can sleep in the next day. Except, well, my dad never did because he was always awake at 6 or 7 in the morning kind of person. But you know, so we went ahead and did that and that was cool. You know, it's, you know, one of the coolest things for me was, watching my mom show off the new refrigerator to everybody, you know, cause, you know, she's had some hardships in life and stuff and hasn't always had new stuff, you know, and on this year we got a new washer, a new dryer, a new refrigerator, you know, and she got to show them off to everybody and, you know,
it's kind of fun.
Yeah. You know, even though it's a refrigerator, most people are just like, oh, hey, whatever, you know, but it's, you know, you still feel like you have to show it off, you know?
Oh yeah, of course you do. You're like, hey, check out my new fridge.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, that was cool. But yeah, it was really, honestly, it was pretty laid back for both, you know, and then Christmas Day, I didn't do anything, really except just, you know, watch football basically. So, but I, you know, I don't feel like I missed anything because we do everything Christmas Eve, you know, it's kind of the same, the same deal. But, you know, that was pretty fun. I didn't do anything crazy like, you know, deal with mold and carpet or anything. You know, it's really funny because of the stuff that I got for Christmas. The thing, honestly, that I've appreciated the most so far, and this includes the Xbox that I got, is
you got an Xbox?
Yeah. I got an Xbox.
Sweet.
Yeah. I got it like around Black Friday, but it was, you know, basically the Christmas.
Now was that a you gift to yourself or somebody gift to you?
That was somebody gifted to me. So, yeah. And, but it's funny though, because my mom bought me a pillow and I love this pillow. Like the pillows I have are old. I haven't, you know, and you know how it is when you get a new pillow, usually it's like, oh, cause it's the old ones suck after a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, I got some old pillows that really just need to be thrown away, but I use a lot of pillows, so they usually just get rotated. Like the real old broke down one hits the trash. All the rest of them just get, you know, pushed closer. But yeah, it's been really nice, having that, cause, you know, I haven't been waking up with neck issues.
Oh, I got for a new pillow.
Yeah. Nice.
They're macho man.
Right? So, I guess going off of that, because I don't have anything else from Christmas, but going off of that, something I wanted to mention here is, Tony told me forever ago about this app he uses, when he's sleeping. Like, and you turn it on, and then you set your phone upside down on an end table next to your bed. And it uses the microphone to measure sounds, I believe, to kind of judge where you are in your rest cycle. And it'll also tell you if you've been snoring. And, you know, I've been using it for 3 days now, and on the upside, no snoring, which is generally a sign of, like apnea. So, you know, that makes me happy. But, at the same time, looking at my sleep cycle is ridiculous, because it's like the top of the thing shows like when you're awake or tossing and turning kind of a thing. And then toward the bottom is where it's, when you're in your deep sleep. And mine is just up and down and up and down. You can see almost every 2 hours that there's a peak of basically when I'm moving around, and then back down into, you know, go into a deep sleep and then back up at, you know, about 2 hours later. You know, I think last night I had a longer stretch of deep sleep, but the previous 2 nights it was only, you know, like it was about an hour and a half to 2 hours at a time, you know, which kind of sucks, because you really want to hit a deep sleep for a little while so your brain can empty all the junk out of it.
Is it a graph?
Yeah.
Huh.
But, yeah, it's, you know, and you can set it to where it'll wake you up. Like, I think it gradually gets louder so that, you know, you're not startled to wake up.
It's an alarm too?
Yeah, you can set a time on it to where it'll wake you up. So I usually set it for, I set it for about like 8 hours later. And then even after I'm done with it, if I go back to sleep, I can look at basically the 8 hours that, you know, I've spent there around the same time each night for consistency purposes, you know.
And it's just listening to you.
As far as I know, I don't know what else it could be doing, because it's face down. So that, you know, it clearly can't use the camera unless it uses the back camera. But it's pointed at the ceiling if it did, you know what I mean? Like, it can't see me. So I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of.
What a trip.
I mean, I guess maybe it could sense, you know, if you tossed and turned, if your bed was like sitting right next to the end table, you know, where you might feel a vibration or something. But otherwise, I don't know. But yeah, it's been interesting, because I'm not surprised by any of it. You know, because I've always known that I pretty much sleep in 2 hour patterns, which I've never been able to break myself of. I don't, you know, it stinks. I don't, you know, but unless I take something for it, you know, just have to deal with it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Huh, that's a trip.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't remember the name of the app now either. It's, I have it on like my old phone, not on this one. And, yeah, it's called, like, I think it's called, oh, there it is. Actually, I do. It's called Sleep Cycle. That's the name of it. So, you know, if people want to have a look at it. I can't remember if it's free or if it was like $1 or $2 or something like that. But.
So it'll tell, how does it tell you you've been snoring?
It will basically tell you like how long you were snoring, essentially.
Like it'll say like does it say you were snoring, or does it give you like a decibel reading?
I don't know, because for me, you know,
Okay.
it hasn't triggered it, so I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
I really hope it gets a decibel. That'd be like, you loud.
You know, this is something that somebody like their wife is just gonna lay next to their husband.
Yeah.
And be like,
It's just, yeah.
you're an asshole.
Yeah. I do wonder how many people have used that app though, and like, oh, I don't snore it, only to find out that they do,
yeah,
you know?
fully.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I've known people who are like, I don't snore, and they snore like a wildebeest, you know, but they don't wake up like, you know, someone with like apnea will wake themselves up usually, you know, they'll just snore all dang night, and, you know, at some point they'll wake up and they don't realize they've been snoring. So I usually can tell if I do, because I do when I'm sick, because I can't breathe through my nose. So I tend to snore because I have to breathe through my mouth at that point. But or if I'm exhausted. I've snored in the past when I've just been dead on my feet, basically. But otherwise, from what I'm told, I don't usually snore. So, yeah, that was kind of fun to do, because I've been doing that, and I've been tracking that, and I've been tracking like my weight each week, you know, no pressure type thing, but I just step on the scale every Monday, and then I put it into the MyFitness app or whatever it is, just to, you know, track it, basically. What was amazing is I didn't gain any weight through Christmas. So wow. I stayed the same, so maybe I did, but then I lost, I don't know, but in the end, you know, it evened out. So that makes me happy, because I ate a lot on Christmas Eve. I didn't really eat a lot the rest of the time, you know, because on Christmas Eve it's just there.
Well, I was gonna say, we have sugar at work.
Yeah,
it's just everywhere.
Right,
it's chocolate and candies and C's candies, and I love all of that.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
love it.
Yep. That's what I was doing.
Take it home with me, and
right, yeah. Well, that's what was funny is, you know, as people were leaving, you know, my nephew made this, what are they called? Like a trifle or whatever it is. You know, it's just layer on layer of stuff. It's like pudding and cake mix and whipped cream, and you know, it is just a diabetes bomb. But you know, and of course I had to have some of it, because, you know, he wanted me to have some of it to, you know, tell him what I thought. So, you know, I have some of that, and it was good. And he's like, "Do you want to keep any of this here?" And I'm like, "Nope."
Yeah, exactly.
Like, do I want to keep it here? Yep.
Yeah.
Am I going to? Nope. Yeah, it was. Well, you know, one of the really cool things was he took a butchery class somewhere where you pay money. You're taught how to basically break down. I don't remember what they broke down, like if it was just a part of a cow or something, or pig or whatever the hell it was. But he, you know, you butcher it, and then they got to make like different sausages too. So he brought over these different meats that he had basically, you know, was part of making. And, you know, like kind of like, you know, like a summer sausage type of deal that you'd have with like a cheese and cracker. But it was a much better type of sausage, you know. And, you know, he brought over like fresh mozzarella and Parmesan, and I forgot what other cheese. You know, there were like 4 cheeses and 3 or 4 meats, and then crackers, and he had grapes and almonds on there. It was a pretty nice plate of stuff. And, you know, so I was grabbing through that off and on. That was pretty good. So I'm glad he didn't leave that, or I would have ate all of it. So yeah, it was actually funny, because a lot of the people were like, "Do you want us to leave?" I'm like, "Nope, take it home."
Yep.
Get it out of here. Oh man. Yeah.
So I almost picked a fight with a 17-year-old and a 16-year-old.
All right, in real life or on the internet?
Oh, no, in real life.
Okay. I was going to say, if it's internet, that's like, yeah, who hasn't?
We have, you know, just butt tons of people in town.
Mm-hmm.
And we have these alleys behind every building, and it's where it's just the way the town is set up. Like my town is like that too. I've just got a dirt alleyway in the back, and it used to be where they did all the garbage collection
Right,
stuff.
sure.
But it's where all of our utilities are. So the water meters are back there, everything's back there, and up in Ketchum, they've all been paved. So, people will drive down them. And also in our downtown area in Haley, you can drive down them too. But you really got to be careful because there's people walking. It's behind businesses. It's behind people's buildings. And you also are you're going across from roads, right? And you're technically doing an uncontrolled intersection, right? So there's no stop signs. There's nothing. So I came around a corner. I was heading into town to do something at work, and I'm in the work truck, and I'm heading to the post office, and I make a right turn, and all of a sudden, here's this car coming from the alleyway, and they're not stopping.
Whoa!
And I'm just like, and all of a sudden, they're going across the road, and I'm like, whoa, and I come to a bit of a stop, and the people coming the other direction had stopped as well. And I think that they saw, they just thought that I would stop too.
Right.
Like that I would just, the other people stopped so that I was going to just suddenly let them go. And I'm just like, no. So I look over and I see it's a young boy, like a teenager in the driver's seat. And I see I can't see quite who's in the driver's seat, but I see a finger go up. And and I'm like, oh, you did not. No, you didn't. Do you know who I am?
Right.
And I suddenly had this moment of like,
yeah.
And so at that point, and it's not like I'm going to go pick a fight with anybody, but at this point, it's like, okay, you're gonna do that. I literally put the car in the park. I open the door. I'm going to inconvenience. I mean, like, traffic is stopped, and I get out and I start walking up to the car. And this is just pure attitude bullshit.
Yeah.
But this is the best part. The window roll. Now I see that it's a teenage girl driving that just gave me the bird.
Right.
And the little boy, he was great. He rolls the window down. He's like, "What are you gonna do? Pick a fight with a 17 and a 16-year-old?" And I was like, I got to give you
a smart move on that part. Yeah.
Yeah. No, the kid was great. But I just looked at him. I was like, keep your finger to yourself. I was just like, that's the level of entitlement in our community.
Yeah.
That it was your fucking fault.
Right. Because
it wasn't my fault.
Right. Because there's no way that they have a right of way in that point.
Any right of way.
Yeah, exactly.
None.
Yeah.
Zero. And her response is to flip someone off.
Yeah.
Honey.
It's like, how about you learn to drive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then have an attitude.
Right.
And I like I said, it wasn't like I was just like, oh, okay, that's how we're doing this? Yeah. I'm going to inconvenience you right now. That was the main thing. It was just like that. And I got back in my car and I just drove off laughing, because it was just silly.
Right.
And I was like, it was just funny. Like, you did not just do that.
Yeah. It's so wild too. Cause it's like, just aside from, it being, rules and stuff, it's like if I were coming out of an alley onto a street, I don't care if the street's not very busy, I would stop and make sure I'm clear before I would just turn or go straight, like it'd be like coming out of a parking lot. Yep. Yeah. That's just stupid. I mean, that just puts you in danger. Even if you don't put anyone else in danger, it puts you in danger. Cause as you're pulling out, if there's a car coming from like your left, it's going to crush you. At least make your mistake so it hits the passenger side. Yeah,
exactly.
Unless I'm riding with you.
Yeah, you better not be. And it's funny. I think I recognized the kids as they were at my work one day and tried to go through an emergency exit. We have a gate down, and they tried to go up and lift the gate. And I'm like, you two look familiar to me.
Yeah.
It's like little brother getting a ride from big sister who just got her license.
Right. Yeah, probably what it was. Yeah, or pretty close.
And driving a very nice car too. I'm like, I don't think your mom and dad would appreciate you driving their Mercedes that way.
Yeah.
And then flipping people off.
Right.
But then again, they're probably too drunk to care.
Yeah, man. Yeah, there's that.
We have a lot of that going on.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So before we started I had one of those moments where it is the stupidest, silliest little thing, and it just makes you want to give up. Like I have a mixer that I use anytime I do podcasts and I need to have like a soundboard set up or something. It was what I used on Moving the Needle for all the music and stuff.
Right.
And I'd go downstairs and I'd spent most of this afternoon, I downloaded an iPad app and I went through and grabbed all the, the sound effects that Tony usually does.
Right.
And at one point I was just saving everything. It was all transferring. I'm like, oh, I'll go downstairs and grab the mixer. I grab the mixer. I start to go upstairs and I'm like, where's the power supply? And it's a specific power supply, like,
okay.
Where you've got a separate box and then it has a proprietary end.
Yeah.
Like kind of like a laptop connection.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I'm like, it's here. Like, it's not here, but it's supposed to be here. Like,
right.
The power supply is never not with this mixer.
Right.
It is always with the mixer. Like, if it's not here, it's at my desk, and then it's connected, and that's where the power supply is. And I literally, I went downstairs, I went upstairs, I went downstairs, I went upstairs, and I'm like starting to look into and I'm looking at now. I'm going, okay, this is ridiculous. And I'm like looking through everything now. Now I'm looking at places where there's no way it could be there. But
right.
Like,
yeah.
Well, maybe I did leave it in my car.
right.
Like at this point, I'm opening drawers in the kitchen.
Right. Like I'm going to check the mailbox.
Thought it was something. Yeah. Who knows? I'm going through closets. I'm going through everything. And I get to this point where I'm like just sitting downstairs and I'm like, I suck. I give up. I can't.
Yeah.
I don't want to podcast tonight. Like, this sucks. And I literally, I was like, I was just blown away because I'm like, that's where the power supply is. That's where it is. It's never anywhere else.
Yeah.
And so then I start opening up boxes. I have like road cases for microphones and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I open one up and I go, oh, the 4th of July event. Because I had my wireless mics in this one box.
Mm-hmm.
And the power supply wouldn't be in with the mics. But at that point, I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, leaving no rock unturned, Yeah.
But what it did is it triggered my memory. I was like, I had the wireless system with me. I plugged into the back of the wireless system. So I ran over, I got my road case for the wireless units, opened up the back, and sure enough, there was the power supply still plugged into the strip in the back there. And I was like, yes! It's so funny, that reaction of just
I get it, yeah.
I'm done. I'm just going to bed.
Yeah.
Sucks.
I lost my keys one time, and I'm the kind of person that my keys go in the same spot. Right?
Yeah.
Each house that I've lived in, there's one spot, and it never changed while I was there. Always the same spot for my keys, And that way I knew, I never lose them.
That's it.
And there was a day where I could not find my keys, and I was flipping out about it. And, I was getting mad and I'm smashing things as I'm, basically, like slamming doors and stuff because I'm I'm like, where the, I'm not, it turned out that I had left my keys in the door when I came home the night before. So, that's my last girlfriend had a habit of, using my keys and then leaving them in a dish by the door, which is not the place they're supposed to be.
Your spot.
I'd get up and
that's it. That's not the spot.
I'd get up and I'd be like, where are my keys?
Yep.
Like, relax. They're right here. I'm like, no, I was like, you don't understand. This is a big deal to me. I don't lose my keys, It's funny because I honestly would probably flip out more about losing my keys than losing my phone. Which kind of doesn't make sense because the phone has potentially personal information on it,
Yeah.
I mean, the keys, if you don't know what house they belong to, aren't going to do you a lot of good,
I when I went to see Star Wars last weekend? So I went to like a 4:30 showing or something like that, and I got out and I got in the car, drove home, and I'd been home for about probably 45 minutes. And I was like, oh, do you want to go? I asked Sharon, I said, have you had dinner? She's like, no. I'm like, you want me to go get something? And she's like, yeah. And so I ordered some food, some burgers to do a takeout. And all of a sudden I'm like, where's my wallet?
Yeah.
And the wallet's the one that gets me because it's just like, and at Christmas time, I usually get a lot of tips at work. So I got usually cash in there.
Right.
And it's just, I've lost my wallet before it had someone, and there was a card in there that I hadn't thought about canceling, and somebody, got a lot of money from it. And so I'm like, I go in the car, I'm searching everywhere, and I'm like, I dropped it in the theater,
Yeah.
And so I head over to the theater, and sure enough, they got the next showing on. They're not going to do anything about it,
Right.
It's like, and because I realized what I'd done is it was in my jacket. I had taken my jacket off, but then I got cold, so I had my jacket on me like a blanket.
Oh, right.
So it would have easily fallen out of my pocket, right? But that level of anxiety then, where I'm just like, okay, the movie's 2.5 hours long, when
right,
it's like all I could think about, there's nothing else I'm thinking about at that moment.
Yeah.
And so I finally get back there, and it's hilarious. I'm hanging out with all the other dads who are waiting to pick up their kids. They're like picking up your kid. I'm like, nope, left my wallet in there. They're like, oh man, some little grommet's got that right now and is off to like, woohoo!
Yeah, right.
I'm like, thanks, not helping.
Yeah.
Asshole.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And then finally I just see there's just kids everywhere. I'm like, okay, it must have, gotten out. So I'm like, can I go in now? And sure enough, as soon as I just tipped the seat back, it's like, there it was, right in the back, buried
good.
there. I was like, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Meanwhile, you get home and there's a huge Amazon bill.
Yeah, exactly. The kid had grabbed it and went to town.
Yeah,
in
left
the middle
it.
of the movie and then put it back.
Yep, just maxed it and then left.
Yeah, then just left.
Yeah,
like
right. Or what would be great is like you see they have an Amazon card in there, and like because their name's on it, you look for a wish list and buy all their stuff on their wish list. And send it to them, It's like, here you go. Merry Christmas. Oh, that'd be terrible.
I had a friend of mine sent me a text message. She's like, my aunt every year gets me an Amazon gift card. And I always, and then she always asks, what did you get? And she's like, should I tell him I went into my Bond BDSM wish list?
Yes.
That was exactly it. That's exactly. I was like, I had just a one-word answer. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. In fact, maybe send pictures. Not of you, but
not?
Yeah. It's like, here's the things I bought. That'd be great.
And I was like, perhaps you'd like to exchange wish lists one day.
Right. It would be funny if you said yes, showed them what you get or told them to see the next year if they get you another one or if they get you something different.
Exactly.
Be a fun experiment to find out. That'll tell you whether or not they approve. Yeah,
exactly. So I'm looking around because my Velcro dog, who never leaves me, is nowhere to be found.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's always on the bed with his, on his back with his junk hanging out.
Right.
And he's nowhere to be found. The bulldog's here. I don't know. Maybe while I was tearing the house apart looking for stuff, he was. Unless he might be at the window. Who knows? Hey, Jax.
There he is.
Yeah, he was.
Yep, he was at the window. Yep.
Yeah. All right, buddy. So did I don't know if you saw, we were walking down to we have the nature preserve by the river.
Yeah.
And we're walking down and it didn't even click that I just keep hearing dogs barking but that's not unusual. When you're walking dogs down the street, every other dog in the world wakes up. And all of a sudden I look up and I'm like, oh, whoa, moose. They were in somebody's driveway.
Oh my!
And Bogart went full on just blink, and I'm like, no, and I'm like, like a dog can pull out of its collar, and
Yeah.
so I grabbed him, and the woman whose house it was is like got her door open, and they were they were big. They weren't like little adolescents. They
Right.
they were at least yearlings,
Right.
and not experienced enough to know that they shouldn't be in the neighborhoods,
Right,
but
right.
but big enough to do some damage.
Sure.
And they were literally hanging out by the car. So I was like, okay, boys, let's go easy here. And of course I had to Snapchat it,
Yeah, of course. I know. See,
Yeah.
I figured you would have went up to him, like you did the teenager in the car.
Be like, you know who I am?
Yeah. You got a problem here?
You got a problem? You keep that finger to yourself, Moose.
Then later I'm watching random videos online. And I'm like, is that Henno running from a moose?
Dude, there was when I first moved here, I went for a ride with my buddy Sean, mountain bike riding, and we had gone. It was me, him, and his wife, and we went to this one area that is it's pretty open. It's we live in high desert, so it's not like, but there's like these groves of aspen trees. Anywhere you have a stream or a spring or anything, you get these aspen trees. Mm. So we're going up over this ridge, and this couple's these two women are coming up, and they're like, there's a mama moose and and her babies down the hill, and it's like, and that's like, it's the mama moose that you want to be careful of, right?
Sure.
Like they will, and I really didn't know that much about that at that time, and all of a sudden Lucy's like, oh shit, should we go? And Sean's like, well, let's go take a look, and I'm like, is there a problem? Because I'm thinking like, Bullwinkle. Hey, Rocky, that's the cool rabbit in my hat. Not again. That trick never works.
Right.
Nothing up my sleeve. Bristol. And so as we're going down, we're just walking the bikes now.
Yeah.
Because we don't know where we're going.
Right. Also, then you can use a bike as a weapon. No. Yeah.
So Sean starts telling me the story about one day in this area he was riding, and this woman comes, like, she's just like charging down the road and just a mess. I mean, like a mess. And she finally gets in, hyperventilating the whole thing, and he's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And she's just like, literally had shit herself.
Wow.
Like it was just running down her legs.
Wow. Yeah.
And it lost all bodily functions. I guess a mama moose had full on galloped after her on her bike.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And so Sean tells me the story, and I'm like, oh, okay. And so
I'm gonna just stand over here.
So the women had said that, that it was, right on the other side of the aspen trees and blah, blah, blah. So we get down to this to the top of the ridge. We're on one side, you got a valley down below, and they're supposed to be lower in the valley on the other ridge, and we're on the top of one ridge. Right. And we're looking, and we're like, okay, I don't see anything. And we're looking, and all of a sudden I see an ear twitch, and I'm like, oh, there they are. And it was weird. Like they were like camouflaged.
Oh, wow.
Like you couldn't see them. And all of a sudden the ear moved. And so we're like, okay, there they are. All right. They're on the other side of a large, like there's a big down tree.
Yeah.
And so the trail was, I'm like, okay, we'll be good. Let's just, we don't need to, we rode real slow down there. And as we're getting closer, clearly there's a bunch of down trees between us and them. And it was a mother and her two babies, except it was a fucking Mack truck and her two F-150s. I was like, holy shit. Like I had no idea how big they were.
Yeah.
Until I was down there, and I'm looking up, and I'm like, yeah, I'd shit my pants too.
Yeah. I've never seen one. Yeah. I've never been up close or seen one, I've never been on foot and seen one. I've seen them a couple times, like from afar or something,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've all seen the moose. Yeah, it's not. We've even seen giant moose and buffalo on films in Yellowstone, and you're like, whoa, but when you're standing there, you're like, I am very small.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And to think that big, that thing would chase you.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
Right. Seriously. Oh man. So you mentioned that you saw You went and saw Star Wars again, didn't you?
Yes, I did this week.
So what did you think? Like, did your opinion change? I've seen it now, so
you have okay, good.
Yeah, but still, just in case, spoilers. But
yeah.
I was going to get into it more with Tony next time, but whatever. Good.
So I what changed for me was, and this actually was the case with because I also saw Justice League twice.
Okay.
And the same thing happened, which was dialogue was different because I knew what the conversation was going to be about, so I could pick up the nuances.
Okay, sure.
Right? So, and particularly one scene that really affected me emotionally the first time was Yoda and Luke sitting down, because it was such a blast to my childhood.
Right.
Because I was like 8 years old when I saw A New Hope.
Oh, right.
And I was really young, but Empire, I was a little bit older, so that was the movie, right?
Sure.
And so Yoda was really, and I swear I was like, I had tears coming down my face the whole time, just almost like out of joy, because it's like there's Yoda again. There's the old Yoda,
right?
Not the spinning little flea,
Although,
which was cool.
I was gonna say that was pretty awesome watching Yoda. Flip
it was
around.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yoda in his prime, but still. But there was the old snarky Yoda.
Yeah.
It was the whap you upside the head Yoda, right?
It was the Rafiki Yoda. It really was, yeah.
And so I was really moved by it, and I remembered significant things about it, but the second time the dialogue was more significant to me because it was like I already knew everything, so I could kind of focus a little better. The other thing was with the battles. The first time you have a battle coming at you, it's like there's so much going on, you don't know what to look at.
Yeah.
And so the second time through, you're already like, okay, I know what I don't need to pay attention to. And so like a lot of, like the first time seeing Snoke, your attention is on Snoke. Well, the second time I was looking at what are the red guards called again? I forget their names.
Oh shit. I can't remember what they're called in this one. Yeah, they've
they have a name. Anyhow, I was way able to more focus on them, and it was really a lot more interesting. And then there's all the spoiler stuff that, because there were things that I noticed already about the things the first time, but now it's like, okay, now the second time I can concentrate. So I enjoyed it a lot more because of that.
Right.
Just because it was like refined, but I was already I'm just a Star Wars true believer.
Sure.
That's just who I am.
Yeah.
I mean, it is so much about nostalgia for me. It is not about whether it's good or bad movie making. It's not about whether the plot lines are good or bad.
Yeah.
It is just pure nostalgia. I buy in 100%.
Yeah, that's fair. I think, was it last week or was it, I can't remember if it was last week on the show or if it was when you and I were talking after the Crazy Life, when I made a comment that Star Wars is a popcorn movie. And I've taken flack from people that I've said that to in the past because, and I'm like, it's really not anything new, like even the originals were nothing new, aside from the special effects. There was tons of new stuff there. But as far as the storyline, it really wasn't, it's kind of a trope,
Oh yeah. Well, they're always tropes.
Yeah.
They've always been, and yeah. And so I think that's been the thing with, and that's one thing I miss about doing Moving the Needle is talking about those things where it's a trope, but you just don't care.
Well, that was what I was getting at is when I go into Star Wars, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. I enjoy them, but I'm not like crazy about them like I am about like comics,
Yeah.
So when I go into them, I'm just like, whatever. I basically, it's one of the few franchises to where if I come out and I had fun, it works. That's the way I've always gone into them. And, like this one, I thought there was plenty of stuff in there. I can see, I haven't read what everyone's real issues have been with it because I didn't want to potentially spoil it,
Yeah, gotcha.
But I don't know. I'm curious to talk with Tony because he mentioned that he had various questions about why they did certain things or something. So I'm curious what he saw in there. There were a couple things that I noticed that I was kind of like, or why, but there was also like, I don't know if you noticed this or not. At the very beginning, like as they're showing inside the oh geez, I'm already blanking on them. The first
First Order?
Yeah, First Order, thank you. In their ships and stuff, as they're moving around and stuff, it almost feels like they're trying to give you a first-person look at it. Like, the way the camera kind of moves around, it looks almost like the commander's, like, talking toward you.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of cool, and I don't know if everybody really noticed that or not, but I thought it was kind of a neat, deal.
Yeah, like when Hux is doing his thing, a lot of times it's the perspective of the people that are in the pits that are manning their little stations.
Yep. So I thought that was kind of cool. I've never paid attention to whether that's in the other movies or not, or if that was just this one, but I thought it was kind of a neat opening, but yeah, I'm going to have to look online and see kind of what the major issues were. Cause there's of course going to be, the big plot holes and stuff, but again, you can poke holes in any of the Star Wars movies. There's none of them that are completely, perfect.
Here's the thing. Like, let's the first space movie to actually depict fighter combat as it would be was the remake of Battlestar Galactica.
Right.
And it was, and what the difference is they had a big propulsion system on the back, right? Mm-hmm. But it shot a burst, right? And now you're moving forward. You don't have to have a flame continuing in space.
Yeah.
Right.
You're right. All you need is something to give you a shove.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when you go to change directions, you don't smoothly turn. You're actually doing jolts left and right because you've got jets firing and realigning you, right?
Yeah.
And it was the first time a film had actually made an attempt to depict a dogfight in space as it would be. And it's actually a bunch of craft doing rather jerky movements in complete silence, other than their comms.
Yeah.
On the outside, if you have any perspective from the outside, it would be quiet.
Right.
And only when they went into the perspective, right? So right off the bat, the whole thing is bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. And I'm not one. I don't want to go through.
So I'm going to nitpick?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't want to go through and pick them apart. I do that plenty with comic book movies,
Yeah.
But I can understand people that are super passionate about Star Wars and they want everything to line up right. And I get it. It's like in comics, if the continuity isn't right, all us comic fans are, so I get it. But yeah, I'm just curious because, like, when the last one came out, I went on and was looking just kind of for the biggest stuff. Like, I would jump on Reddit real quick and read some of them, and there were a lot that I was like, and then there were a lot that I was like, okay, you're just being a jerk here. Like, this is just too far. This is the geeks on The Simpsons with the where they're just taking apart something, which again, I've seen plenty of geeks do, myself included. But I don't know. I enjoyed it. I think I'm right where Tony is though, because Tony said he gave it a 3 or 3.5. I think Channing Tatum's. I think that's about where I am on it too.
Okay.
Because I liked it. It was fun. It didn't blow me away, but it was good. It's one of those movies I would watch again.
Like for me, this one, I know yes, I've read some stuff online, but mostly I've listened to other people's podcasts, and I had everything is explained in it to me. Like in The Force Awakens, there was plenty of stuff. There's still plenty of things for conjecture, right?
Sure.
But this one, it's all explained. I mean, to me, it's all there, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people say Force Awakens did the most fan service, but for me, I got the most fan service out of this.
Which I can see, because you mentioned that you saw a lot of homages to previous Star Wars movies in this one, and I did too. I caught a decent amount of things that were either the exact line from a previous one or really, really close,
Yeah, and I even I was actually really into Kylo Ren now. He bugged me the first time.
Yeah.
He bugged the crap out of me.
Yeah, I think he became a much more interesting character in this one.
he became actually, see, the first time he was just whiny emotional.
Yeah.
Now he's just, I saw conflicted emotion, but I saw also conviction. I saw it's an angry brat.
Yeah.
But it's like, this time it was less about like, oh, this is, it's a WB show or, whatever that network is that does all the kids shows.
Yeah.
But it's
CW.
CW. That's it. Sorry. It's no longer like that to me. Now it's actually, it was an honest depiction, and the two of them, the way the tension and there was just so much of it that I know another person can totally rip it apart. Some scene between the two of them, and I'm just going to be like, I loved it.
Yeah,
I loved it. I loved that everything in there. Oh, this was the one significant thing with the second movie, and this is what has bugged me more than anything else since The Force Awakens, and I ripped on this in The Force Awakens, and that was, I'm Princess Leia, and I've been smoking 5 packs a day for the last 40 years. Like I don't even recognize you. You're not Princess Leia.
Yeah.
You're something, and this was wild. The first time I saw it, I didn't see it, but the second time this happened, when she is floating in space and her hand goes out and her eyes open, I saw Leia.
Yeah.
I saw Carrie Fisher finally.
Yeah.
I saw in her eyes, and this is literally I can't tell you how many times I've watched Force Awakens.
Mm.
And here finally in The Last Jedi, she opens her eyes and I'm like, holy shit, it's Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
Like I honestly saw Carrie Fisher in those eyes, and I was like, okay, finally. Because it was distracting me.
I can understand that. It because of how much she had changed over the years, it did feel almost like they had recast the role. I think you and I talked about that after The Force Awakens, that I get you. She doesn't sound the same. She doesn't quite look the same. She, doesn't move around as well, all that stuff. But, I was with you because I noticed that they've done in these two movies, they've done a pretty significant job of making characters from the originals they matter, but they're not all through the movie matter. It's like they've got their moments and that's basically it. And it's interesting to me that they're doing it that way because, going forward, it's like, I'm curious to see if anyone from the originals essentially, like, will they make it through the whole thing, or are they going to just move the whole franchise forward without them?
They should. I mean, that was the whole thing, is like, forget the past.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a significant portion of this. It was about letting go of the past, between, Kylo talking about it, between Yoda talking about it. That was a significant thing. And also, what does the Force mean?
Yeah.
And like, one of the big things I keep hearing about is certain people are still trying to hang on who Rey is. It's like, she's nobody.
Yeah.
Snoke said it.
Yeah.
The dark side has risen, and the light has risen also to meet it.
Yep.
And because Luke does this whole thing on, okay, what do you see? And she's like, death, life, darkness, light, chaos, blah, blah, blah. She does this whole thing. And what's in between it all? Balance.
Which is the whole thing that the whole franchise essentially revolves around. Is, we were told that, at one point, what's his name, would bring balance.
Anakin was going to bring balance to the Force, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And because he did, because there were all these Jedi.
Yeah.
And he came up to be the dark side. So what did the Force do? The Force we had a virgin birth. They created the dark to meet the light. Mm-hmm. Now we've got the opposite. We have a woman, a girl, who we don't even know if she was, it was natural. Who knows? It could have been also a virgin birth. We don't know.
Yeah.
But the light came to meet the darkness.
Yeah.
The Force makes it happen. Like, talk about the ultimate MacGuffin.
You're right. It's funny because, again, if you haven't already caught on, spoilers.
Sorry, everybody.
Well, no, I said it before we started.
Yeah, but still. Yeah.
When Kylo Ren tells her that she's from nothing, that her parents sold her for like drinks or whatever.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I wonder if that's a red herring or if that they're just that easily sweeping it under the rug, you know? Because I'm sure that's one of the things people were probably pissed about, you know, is that they didn't get a better explanation of who her parents were.
But look at all right. So if you look at when she goes down into the this is one that I loved. The dark hemorrhoid laden bunghole to the dark side of the island.
Right.
I'm just like, it's an asshole with hemorrhoids.
Yeah. When I first saw it, I was like, wow, that's an asshole. Yep.
The Disney princess is going to dive into it.
Yep. That was something.
So when she goes down and she faces that mirror and she says, show me who my parents are. And you see two become one.
Right.
And it's just her.
Yeah.
I'm like, what more do you need? There it is right there.
I agree. I really, to me, it doesn't matter unless her parents are important in the story. Otherwise, who cares? You know?
Yeah. And it shouldn't be, because there's all this focus on lineage.
Yeah.
Because of the whole Skywalker. It's the Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
It's not a long lineage here, people.
Right.
You know, it's 3 generations, basically, right? That's not a lineage. That's a blip in time. The reality is the there doesn't have to be a lineage. The Force, you know, that particular lineage started with a random occurrence.
Right.
And then it just happened to go a couple generations past that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
You're right. Yeah. I know.
You know, so.
All right. So I have one last question, then we should probably move on. Did you feel a little like we got the Darth Maul treatment with Snoke? And I don't mean because he was, you know, I don't mean that. I just mean the fact that he seemed like he was going to be something really significant, and so kind of isn't.
Yeah,
he is, but he's not.
It's funny that you say that too, because of the fact of how he dies.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it until I said it. Yeah,
Maul, because somebody also said he's still alive, and I'm like, how's that possible? And it's like, oh yeah, Darth Maul.
Yeah, Darth Maul technically lived in the canon, so yeah.
You know, I don't think they're the same, because Darth Maul was actually like, I don't even know how to say this without sounding stupid. Like I still feel like Snoke was powerful, but he was supposed to do something in the story and then move on.
Okay. That's fair enough.
I really feel that way. And I don't think Maul had to, I mean, and Maul had is similar in a way.
Yeah.
But they didn't have to end him.
That's very true. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. They did, and obviously they didn't, if you read the books, but
yeah. Or watch the cartoon.
And watch the cartoons too. But to me, Snoke, you know, was a means to an end. You know, I think it was because I think Snoke set up what was supposed to happen. Hey, you always got to have a cur, because look what they do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, he's a weasel, he's an asshole, but he's useful.
Right.
And, you know, it's like they set up, there's conflict between the two of those.
Yeah.
Stories are a lot more interesting when there's nothing to buffer the conflict.
Right.
Right. And it was great when you have, you know, Hux now, you know, like enough already. And Kylo's just like, you know, does a force push him into the side of the fucking, like, it's just like, pop, like, ooh, ow, that hurt.
Yeah.
You know. So that's my thought on that.
And I'm going to say this again. You know, there's a bunch of little lines in the movie that are throwbacks, or a couple cracked me up a little bit, and I'm not going to go through all of them. I will talk about one, and then, like I said, we should move on. But the one that made me laugh the most was right then when he threw him into the wall, and the pilot goes, "Right away, sir," like just that quick. Like doesn't give him a chance to throw him. Yeah, exactly. Yep, it's a total throwback. So I thought that was funny.
The one thing that I know I'd heard this months and months and months ago, but somebody brought it up on another podcast, was that the reason that the porgs were chosen is because the island is covered with puffins.
Okay.
So rather than CG out all the birds that fly around those islands naturally, they just created a creature that looks like them already. And I was like, that makes sense.
It does, yeah. Yeah, because that is something that I can't help but wonder is like, otherwise it's like they were pointless, you know?
Yeah, because I just saw like a mini documentary where they go to those islands and show what they really are.
Yeah.
And there's birds everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like a sanctuary for puffins.
I could say, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Because otherwise, the only other thing I noticed is that, people laughed a lot at them, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, then they're cute or whatever. I know the merch before the movie came out, the merch was stupid. Like, there was so much merch with that thing on it already. Like, there was like 4 or 5 Funko Pops of that thing, like
was it really?
Right away, yeah. Because they knew people were going to buy them. It's just like BB-8. Oh, yeah. They made a good amount of BB-8 stuff because they knew it was just going to get gobbled up. Because Disney's pretty good about knowing that stuff.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
They have a little track record.
Yeah. Yeah, they've done okay for themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, what's next?
Forgot what I was going to move into. Oh,
I have something to ask you about.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of Destroy Dick December?
No.
Destroy Dick December, I guess was started last year sometime on some, like, it was either a Reddit forum or something like that.
Yeah.
Where the idea is you start on December 1st and you rub one out. On December 2nd, you rub 2 out.
Oh, my.
On December 3rd, you rub 3 out.
Ooh, this is going to get uncomfortable at some point.
So I just want to say, for those people who are currently on, the end of the month, December 30th.
Yeah, if you stuck it out and legit did it, I mean, my hat's off to him. That's...
More seductive than sex.
Oh, boy.
I'm just like, bravo, well played, and I'm sorry, I have no idea what your dick looks like right now.
Nor do I want to.
I don't want to see that 31.
Yeah, right? Oof.
And and it's not just you just stroke it 31 times. You have to hit
completion.
That orgasm.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, to completion.
That is brutal. That I don't know why anyone would agree to that. Oh man, I can't even. By the end, you're not even shooting air. It just seriously would be like dry heaving,
I just thought I need a lot of cocaine, a lot of porno, a lot of cocaine.
Yeah, makes sense.
I mean,
yeah, I don't think I recommend. I'm glad this is pretty much over because I don't. I don't so much recommend anyone jumping in on that next year. If you do, good luck.
Yeah, it just gives new meaning to the Ides of December. It's like, whoo, you're at the middle now. It's 15.
Yeah, right.
I can't even imagine that.
Seriously.
It was starting to lead me towards the Q of the W of which would be. So, how many times is the most for you in a day? Overshare.
27. Wait, what is today? The 29th?
Yeah, that's exactly 29th.
Oh, jeez. Yikes.
And if you happen to be doing Destroy Your Dick December, please let us know.
Yeah, send Henno pics. No.
Language. Yeah, exactly.
Or send him to @monotony on Twitter.
Yeah,
I mean, hey, Tony, how's it going? So I forgot to mention this earlier. I was going to, our pal, S. Anthony Thomas, basically the same day this episode drops, he will be dropping his 300th episode.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah. So, I wanted to point that out and say congratulations to him for joining us in the 300 club. Cause, and again, as far as I know, man, he drops one every week. You know, he doesn't take a bunch of time off or, you know, whatever. He just plows through. Even when he was in the hospital, he still got an episode out. So
Did he really?
yeah,
Wow.
I appreciate his commitment.
Yeah, that is a commitment.
Yeah. But his podcast is called S. Anthony Says, and I'll have a link for it in the show notes if you want to go check it out. So, all right, cross that off my list. So, you know, Tony and I have done this various times before where there'll be a list of like the top whatever from each state, kind of a gimmick.
Oh, yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And I saw one today on Twitter that's from Walmart. And it was the number one thing per state ordered on Walmart.com.
Okay.
So most of these are, you know, you're like, oh, whatever. You know, like Indiana's instant coffee, you know. The Mitten here is lavender scented cleaning products, which I'm sure Tony probably is the reason for that. But then there's like, what is it, New Hampshire or whatever, is like sweet canned corn. Like, who's ordering that much sweet canned corn that's the number one thing they're selling? Right? Was this Maryland, I think it is glue sticks.
What the fuck?
Washington, D.C. is great value French fried onions. Like you'd put on green bean casserole, basically. So they must eat a lot of green bean casserole there. South Carolina is, North Carolina is mayonnaise, which, yum. Looking around here real quick. I'm just looking more now for... in Kentucky,
you see Idaho?
Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm moving east to west. Kentucky is 4x6 photo prints. Like,
oh, you know what it is? It's for those inbred photos.
Yeah.
You know, your reunion photos.
Right.
You know, those white trash ones? Yeah.
Yep. Wisconsin is Green Bay Packers bath mat, which doesn't surprise me. At least it's something you go, well, it is Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Minnesota is Flaming Hot Cheetos. Yeah. Illinois is erasers. Like, Texas is TV wall mounts, which is odd. Oklahoma, barbecue sauce. Makes sense, right?
You know
They're
what? I
not
can
too
see
far from
Texas
barbecue.
because Texas is a huge growth state.
Yeah.
A lot of new homes.
Yep.
A lot of new TVs.
Yep, makes sense to me. North Dakota is watermelon flavored gum, which, you know, I buy plenty of, but that's odd that the whole state is. Yeah. New Mexico is cat food. California is protein powder. Nevada is dog treats. Which that was one of the states I was very curious to see right away was Nevada, because who the hell knows, you know? And Idaho is My Little Pony mini collection.
Not surprising at all.
Right,
Although
because
we have a huge amount of bronies.
Right, I see a ton of them behind you, but so many ponies. You know, I don't see Hawaii on here unless they don't ship to Hawaii. Alaska's on here, and it says RV and marine antifreeze.
Well, that at least makes sense.
Right? Yeah. So, yeah, I just, you know, this one maybe wasn't as good as some of the other ones, but it's just,
still pretty good.
I love seeing these breakdowns because it's just weird. Like, you know, what the hell people buy from wherever, or like the, was it the Pornhub or whatever one where it's the most searched
which
of the year and
the search terms.
Yeah. There's just, I love seeing all of these kind of things.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's good. I like it.
Yep. All right. Oh, okay. So I posted over on the Facebooks. Hey suckers, what should we talk about when we record tomorrow? And we got some answers. So I figured we'd kind of maybe just zip through these real quick. Friend of the show, Monica, who lives up in the Canada, says me, meaning her, I believe today's her birthday, so happy birthday if it is. If it isn't, well, happy birthday anyway. Anyway, yeah. So, okay, we talked about you. Dev wants...
We talked about you.
Yeah, we did. We moved on. Dev wants to know what we think is the best movie of 2017. I'm going to abstain because I don't watch I've probably seen 4 movies this year. So. Because, like, honestly, for me right now, the best movie I've seen of the year was Wonder Woman. So, you know.
Well, I'm trying to think about which.
Yeah. I know. I like I said, I got nothing because.
Well, I'm afraid that I'll bring one up, and it was from 2016.
Oh, yeah. Right? Just pick something you've seen in the last month or so.
I mean, as far as like like what was a movie that hits all the proper cinema buttons, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure it was 2017 was Dunkirk.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. Because I think it just came out on like streaming and video.
It just started, yeah.
Yeah, so that should be a this year release. I'm pretty sure it was. I think it was earlier in the year.
I mean, like I was really impressed by that film. I mean, I walked out of there going, "Wow, that was a good film." And because today, if someone goes after a Western,
mm-hmm.
if they go after a war movie, they're grabbing genres of film that are so they've been done so well so many times before,
mm-hmm.
and that's a pretty high bar.
Yeah, you're right. It is
to reach.
Mm-hmm.
And so if somebody goes after one of those and nails it, it's like I'll call that good. But it's for me, I'm honestly going to go see Star Wars again.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
And because it's just it's going to be my favorite film of 2017. I'm going to go see it at least 3-4 times in the theater for sure, easily.
And I'm sure Dev loved that answer.
Of course.
We love you, Dev. Our pal Philip says from the ML Beers podcast, go check them out if you like beer and or baseball. He says, well, this is going to be a little different, but maybe we could go back in the year, I guess, which is preferred holiday booze for Christmas and New Year's Eve. He also wants Super Bowl predictions, but we're going to do that down the road. So, for me, it's simple. It's beer or whiskey. It always has been for me. I'm not a champagne person. In fact, I hate champagne. I don't even remotely like it. So, what was your choice?
I think.
Or what do you drink now? If you want to tell that instead.
SodaStream.
Yeah. Well, listen, I have one too. So.
Hey, I'll tell you what. I can't tell you the last time I opened a Coke.
Yeah.
And drank it on Christmas, but I drank one now. No, I was always a blended Scotch guy.
Okay.
And I loved Johnny Walker. And Christmas time was when you buy a bottle of Johnny Walker Gold.
Okay.
You get the high, you buy at least the big ticket, or not the full. Blue is the big one, but that was my favorite. I love Scotch, or blended Scotches. I'm not a single malt guy.
Right.
I don't have the. It took me because I have allergies. Yeah. I don't have a sense of smell, and your sense of smell is so much a part of picking up nuanced flavors.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of times where I listen to you guys talk about beer. And I go, oh, that sounds amazing. And then it's just like, yeah, but you never could taste that stuff.
Yeah. Like the smokiness to some extent in Scotch even, there's that smokiness over the top basically that, you can taste it, but it helps if you can also smell it.
And it's part of your nuanced taste buds is it's smell and I just never, so I only pick up dominant flavors or however you want to call it.
Right.
And it wasn't until the first time I didn't drink once for a year in like my early 30s. And then when I started drinking again, I had a glass of wine and I'm like, the fuck have I been spending all this money on expensive wine for? It all tastes like garbage. It's not that it tastes like garbage, but it was like when you don't have alcohol for a long time, the first thing you taste is alcohol.
Right.
And even the lightest beers I had tasted like alcohol.
Yep.
It wasn't until that I became accustomed, my body would ignore the alcohol flavor that I started to pick up other nuances. But even then I realized I just don't have a sophisticated palate.
That's
so
fair.
Why was I spending so much money,
Yeah.
And acting like a wine douchebag.
that was actually my thing. Was a friend of Tony and I's. He used to buy pretty decent scotch, and we'd go over there for like New Year's Eve or whenever we were over for various parties. Sometimes they'd want to have a scotch and a cigar out on the patio or whatever.
Yeah.
And he'd want to pour me a scotch, and I'm like, hey, you know what, dude? I was like, I'm not a big scotch fan. I probably would be more now than I was then, but I was like, don't waste your good scotch on me. I'm like, if you got a cheaper scotch or whiskey, I'll just give me some of that instead. Because, I know scotch can get pretty expensive. So,
yeah.
I mean, any liquor pretty much can, but, yeah, I was just like, keep your good stuff, because I'm not going to appreciate
cognac.
It. Yeah.
And that was the same thing. What you just said. I just can't appreciate this. I don't know what you're tasting in this. It just tastes like fire to me.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of cognac either.
And maybe I was drinking it wrong. Maybe just upending my dad's expensive bottle of cognac wasn't the way to really appreciate the nuanced tones.
What are you talking about?
But, hey, I got fucked up.
Right. Chugging bottles of sipping whiskey. Nothing irritates me more than when we're at a bar or something and I see somebody order like a really good whiskey and they just want a shot of it. And I'm like, ugh, cause it's like, you're not going to appreciate it if you just do a shot of it,
That's Jack Daniels.
Yeah, exactly. Or Jameson or something like that.
Yeah.
If you're gonna, want a little flavor to them and stuff. It's like, Anyway. All right. Let's move to, Dev actually sent a few in. So here's another one from him, which is best cheesecake you've had from Jeannie of Hobie. My favorite one is the, she does one where it's basically, it's a pumpkin flavored cheesecake. And then there's like pecan pie topping on it.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's easily my favorite one. Pretty much everyone she's made that I've tried, I liked. Except for like a coffee one I think I tried one time, but I'm just not a big coffee person. But yeah, that one's easily my favorite.
I've only had two.
Yeah.
Those were the ones when I visited.
Right.
What were those? One was a peanut butter and chocolate, I think.
Oh, geez, I don't remember.
And I can't remember what the other one was. But I think I requested the peanut butter and chocolate one.
Probably.
And I liked it.
Yeah. So I said she, as Tony says on here, she can throw down for sure.
Yeah.
Not just on that, other stuff too.
So the best cheesecake I ever had, and I hate pumpkin. It's not that I hate it. My dad grew up working at a pumpkin canning factory.
Oh,
so there wasn't a lot of pumpkin in the house. So I never acquired a taste for pumpkin.
Okay.
Right.
That's actually not the way I thought the story was going to go. I thought it was going to be that basically you guys would sit around eating pumpkin out of a can because you had so much of it.
Well, I never understood why my dad would leave when we carved pumpkins for Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
It was years later that I finally he literally, the smell of it made him, And
Makes sense.
At any rate, there was one time I had a pumpkin cheesecake like that. And it's, it was, what I loved about it is it's a subtle flavor in there. And I think that's one of the things that Jeannie does really well is she can work those subtle flavors in.
Yeah. She doesn't beat you over the head with the stuff,
with the stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. That's why the 1 year, I think it was, she asked me if I wanted a pumpkin pie or a pecan pie or something like that. And I was like, both. So, and then she was like, well, that's doable. And so good. All right. So Dev's next one is, would you rather have free air travel for life, free pizza for life, or a dog that lives as long as you do? I think everybody knows my answer here.
Pizza?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense.
The
Because
dog would be nice, though, too, because one of the worst things about pets is that they die before us, but, you know. You have to ask questions then. It's like, are they going to maintain health, or are they just going to live that long? You know, like, are they going to be a horrific mess for 30 years, or, you know, what's going to happen?
I think that it would be that literally the dog would match you in its aging cycle. Let's just say.
Okay, that's fair.
Right. I think that would be a way to put it.
Right.
Yeah. No, I'd go with airfare.
Yeah.
I would travel like a motherfucker, and if I'm traveling like a motherfucker, I don't want a dog.
Yeah, that's understandable. Why? You could, say it's your therapy dog or whatever, and just get like a little like one that'll fit in your man purse or something. Carry it everywhere with you.
Mine's close enough.
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
pretty darn close.
Yeah, pretty close. You're right. And the last one here is from the Minister of Space Violence himself, Tony.
Wow.
And he says how General Sherman was completely justified by burning Georgia to the ground. Now, the story behind this... Whoops, say it again.
Not a racist. Not a racist. I'm not a racist.
What he means by that is his family, him and Jeannie and the kids drove down to Florida from here. And I think we talked on the show last week, I believe, that it was, like half the trip is getting from here through Georgia, or, to Georgia. And then Georgia and Florida is like the other half of the trip. And, when you look at a map, you might be like, what? But Georgia's a huge state. It doesn't seem like it, but it's really forever to drive through. And, so I'm sure that's where Tony's hatred of Georgia came from. You just feel like you're driving forever and there's still more Georgia.
I didn't really see it until on their way back.
Yeah.
Like when the comments started coming.
Yeah. That's the best part.
Georgia.
That's the best part is when Tony gets that level of that, and it's not like irritated, but it's like a little bit irritated. His comments just crack me up usually, and like this one. As soon as I read that earlier today, I was laughing so hard. So all right.
So how long does it take? So you talked about going down there.
Mm-hmm.
So how long? Give me a review again of the time.
It's
how far do you get?
I believe it's 22 hours from here to. I don't know if that's the tip of Florida, or I can't remember where in Florida that is, but it's basically a full day of driving.
All right. So you could do it in 24 hours if you were tag teaming.
You can, yeah. Tony actually did that the last time they went down there. They went
so in 12 hours. How many states do you get through?
God, I can't remember now. I want to say from like Georgia to where we went in Florida to Orlando, I think it was like 10 hours or 8 hours and 9, something like that.
From how many states do you go through from where you live?
Oh, okay. Well, you have to go through all of Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee.
How long is that?
Ohio, 5 hours, 4 hours. Depends on how fast you're driving and traffic.
Okay.
Like when you hit Columbus and Cincinnati, if the traffic's bad, it can take forever. Not as bad as Atlanta, but pretty awful.
Okay. So you're going through 3 states basically in a day, and then you're in Georgia.
Yeah.
And then you stay the night somewhere, and then you do the rest of the trip from Georgia all the way through Florida.
Yeah.
Okay. See, it's kind of not for me. Being from California, you drive 8 hours and you're still in California.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Well, not to mention, in some parts of California, 8 hours is like to the end of the block. So,
true.
Like out in LA or something.
Oh God, that's I've done. So San Francisco to LA is roughly 6.5 hours. Mm-hmm. Now, making it the rest of the way from LA to San Diego, depending on the time of day you get there, it could be all of a sudden it's been 10 hours.
Yeah.
Because LA to San Diego is roughly whatever it is, hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. But like, cause I've gone all the way to Mexico, and it's just like, you know, depending on the traffic, it is, 8 hours from LA to Mexico.
Yeah, I talked to plenty of people online that they'll post a picture and they'll be like, yeah, I'm half an hour from home, and you just see this huge line of traffic. Like 2 hours later, they're like, just got home, you know, and I'm like, oh, like, nope. It's one thing I like about living here. It's a big enough city area without like huge city problems, you know.
Yeah, a level of congestion.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, certain areas can be kind of bad certain times, but you know, whatever. All right, so that was all the questions there. So, and I think that's all the stuffs I had pretty much. Do you have anything else?
I hit my list.
Okay, so I guess let's go to the Dude Mountain.
Okay, let's see.
Dude Mountain.
Nice.
I had to listen to Salty Language 4 full episodes. I didn't listen to them all, but I had to skip through 4 episodes to find one that didn't have Skype issues on Tony's end.
Right? Ugh, they're terrible sometimes.
All righty. Dude Mountain. And we start at the bottom with, in 13th place, with Bend the Knee. At least finally breaking 100.
Yeah.
However, I'm just going to say, I'm just making a guess here, considering that the leader is at 136. You are
Disqualified.
Yeah, probably out of contention. Considering you can only get like 14 points.
And 12, Holden D's Nuts. We have in 11th, Dr. Phil Good. And then we have a tie for 9th, the Broth Monster and the Salty Kings. So I'm just trying to think of what do you get when you cross a Broth Monster and a Salty King?
Well, it'd be King Salty Broth Monster. I mean, obviously.
I'm just like,
the worst.
You've been drinking a lot of water after that one.
Well, you should be anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. But I have to say that the Salty Kings had a pretty decent week.
Yeah. Yeah, I did all right.
Then we have in 8th, we have Existence is Pain, followed by the Honey Pot at 7, and the Vengeful One at 6th.
Right.
And I just got to say, way to go, Kling.
Yeah. Especially because, he put in like 3 weeks of picks last year. So to get most of them in this year, or all of them, I don't remember, but good job.
And then Hobeface in 5th place, followed by my dogs, Fuzzy and Fatty, who had a solid week again.
I know. It's so
people,
funny.
Do you realize I am throwing tennis balls?
Yeah. The best part, and seriously, you're 6 points out. It's not impossible.
Yeah.
If you have a great week and the others don't have a great week, you still could take first.
Yeah. Which is just
probably not, but still, Yeah.
Still. Then in 3rd, we have Mr. Jackal and an upset.
It was
a major freaking upset.
Mm-hmm.
The
cream of the crop.
Randy of Mount Savage.
Yeah.
Is no longer.
Stumbled a little bit this week.
Yeah. And which is amazing because there's been solid over 10 points.
Yeah.
Always.
Yep.
And a 7.
Yeah.
Which is basically a giant tie for the worst picks of the week.
Yep.
And which brings us to the new number 1, the
Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour. I'm funky like a monkey. Sky's the limit and space is the plate.
John Bon Tom Glistens.
Yeah, who had a ridiculous week with 14 points.
14.
Yeah, that's
unbelievable.
Yeah. That's he missed 2. That's pretty damn good.
And it just so happens that last week he won the Couple Things podcast fantasy football league.
Yeah.
With an auto draft.
I did that one year too. That's great. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. So yeah, the best part is that, how many of the people on here really we're just showing that, like, basically the tennis ball thing is as good as anybody, pretty much. I mean, you're 3 points from being tied for second,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And it's like, even if I drop back, it's like, oh well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I've got a 5-point lead over Hobie McHobeface over Jeff.
Right.
From History of Bad Ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's.
Yeah. And, this coming week here we're just about to enter it. This is the final week.
Yeah.
So we'll see next week. Can Randy of Mount Savage reclaim the throne, or will John Bon Tom Glisson's? Well, I guess really Mr. Jacko could also, and so could you. After you, it's not impossible. 125 to 136 is 11, but that's a lot of points. Yeah. I mean, what Neil did this week doesn't happen very often. I did it once last year, which put me into first place, and so.
And then you rode the wave.
I did. So, all right.
So with that.
Mountain, mountain, mountain. Booyah.
That's not great. I found one with Tony in it.
That's great. Booyah.
Booyah.
Oh, man. All right, so the Q of the W. Oh, convenient. So the Q of the W for last week was, what's a non-Christmas related tradition that's become a Christmas tradition for you? Did you answer, Heno?
I didn't.
Okay, because
I didn't.
We didn't get very many answers this week.
Well, it was a little weird. It's like, what's a non-Christmas related tradition?
Well, basically something that's not deliberately Christmas is what we were looking for. Like here, an example would be here. Fluffy. I'll read Fluffy Bunny Ashes because hers is Star Wars, and she said from ornaments to decorations to almost always having at least one Star Wars gift to at least one to a station playing a marathon of the movies sometimes during Christmas break. It's just synonymous with Christmas to us. She also said Lego. And she said, it doesn't feel like Christmas without putting together a Lego set. The year's Lego is missing Christmas doesn't feel complete. And then the third one, and this one surprised me a little because she doesn't drink, but I understand it, is the liquor store. She said they go every year to get bottles for all the parties they host and some gifts. And she says since none of them in the house drink, it's very, very rare that they end up in a liquor store other than at Christmas. So... that's kind of what we were looking for. Because even though tons of people give Lego as Christmas, and Star Wars stuff as Christmas stuff, she's right. Because there's a lot of people that just have some movie with their family or something maybe that they watch that's not really a Christmas movie.
Yeah. You know what? I guess I do have one, and that's it hasn't been. It's just been the last few years. Is we have where I work. There's an elevated area that kind of overlooks the lower property, and it's above there's a yoga studio that's round. And so above that yoga studio is they've got pavers and a big fire pit in the middle of it. And originally it was intended, it's gas, and it was intended that it always, have a flame in it, but gas expensive, blah, blah, blah.
Right. Yeah.
But, and people can request to have the fire pit set up and we bring logs up there. And so like a family can do a thing. But my general manager, John, every Christmas Eve goes up there and does a fire and has hot chocolate and marshmallows. And Sharon and I have gone by every year just to hang out for a little bit and have a little coffee and a little cheer and then go on and do our thing. And it's become it's become a bit of a Christmas tradition, and it has nothing to do with Christmas.
Right. Exactly. So that's why I said that's exactly what, kind of stuff we're looking for. I know it's a little tough to think about because, most, like a lot of the stuff people do around Christmas, they then associate as Christmas. Yeah. So, or it is, it's themed you know, like watching Christmas movies. Most of the movies people watch this time of year are, you know, deliberate holiday movies. And we're not getting into the Die Hard argument, but we're not going to do that. All right. So, let's see. On Twitter, we had 0 answers on Facebook, or at least that I saw. So if you did answer on Facebook, sorry, I didn't see it. That's usually Tony's gimmick. On Twitter, though, our pal Matthew McDonough said Point Break 1991, which cracks me up because that's his answer for everything.
For everything.
But it's also appropriate. I mean, you know, if you watch Point Break 1991 at Christmas time, it fits, right?
Yeah.
So,
that was it.
No, I have one more. There was an email just came in actually from Cheeto Bandito.
All right.
And he said he likes to listen to Jesus Christ Superstar when I do any sort of Christmas decorating. Original album release, not the movie soundtrack. Not getting all religious here because to me it is amazing music with phenomenal vocals and an interesting story. I just dig it. I realize it's more Easter than Christmas, but fuck it, it's what I like. Works for me, man. Oh, man.
I like what you got. Good job.
All right, so I picked the Q of the W this week because you're co-hosting with me, and you know, you're a pretty positive guy. You know, you always try to stay as positive as possible, and I've been trying to be that way and stuff too. So I was like, well, let's go out. You know, let's let the last one of this year be a kind of a positive one, which is what's the best thing that happened to you in 2017?
Oh, yeah, hands down. The best thing that happened to me was running for office. Yeah, it was getting that phone call, you know, the request to do it, and the whole process of everything having to do with it.
All right, cool.
It was the best thing I did in 2017. It was me going completely outside of my comfort zone. It was doing something that I have the skill for, the talent for, but not necessarily the desire,
right? Yeah.
Nor the, interest in putting myself out in a place that can be very vulnerable, from a personal standpoint, that kind of stuff. But in the end, being able to get closer to my community, closer to the town I live in, get to know people that I hadn't before, and to actually now be a volunteer. And last week I was asked if I wanted to be on the Blaine County Housing Authority, which is a really big deal right now because we have a massive shortage of affordable and moderate priced housing in our valley because it's a resort town.
Sense,
and,
right.
People build $1 million waste of space homes. And the people that live here or the people that work here can't afford to live here. It's one of those classic deals where,
Yep.
the police officer. So I really haven't thought about it yet. I was kind of waiting until the holidays, whatever. But that was for sure best thing that happened to me.
Cool.
And that's, I guess I'm an asshole right now because I did get married, but
I wasn't going to bring it up until after the show.
You know what it is? God, you know what? That's the best thing that I mean, what am I supposed to say?
Yeah.
Sharon and our relationship is exactly the same as it was.
Right.
It's just so much better.
Yeah.
But realistically, between the two of us, it's not a significant thing. It's not, it really isn't.
Yeah.
It's changed things in our relationship, but not significantly.
Right. Which is weird. You don't normally hear somebody say that other than, sometimes they'll be like, well, it's not much different other than, saying wife and husband versus fiance or whatever, but other than that, it's basically the same thing. It's kind of like, turning another year older, basically. You're just like, yeah, I felt like I did yesterday. So, it's not hitting me.
Yeah. Cause it's like right now when life is happening between the two of us, and it has changed how we deal with it.
Right.
But it doesn't. But it wouldn't have to.
Right.
Like if it didn't, it wouldn't matter. So it's kind of weird to sit here and say, yeah, I'm getting married was the best thing that happened to me last year, and I'm just like, ugh. To me, it's cliche.
You're right. Yeah.
The best thing that happened to me to be honest, it was easier to get married than it was to run for office.
See, that I don't doubt, because really with the married thing, you're kind of staying in a comfort zone because you've already been in this relationship for a while. And, like you said, you don't see it as the big, like, life-altering thing that a lot of people see it as. So it's like, meh,
Yeah.
All right. Works for me, though.
How about you?
The first thing that popped into my head was all of the appreciation and love that I was shown on my birthday. Because as a person with low self-esteem and self-esteem issues, it's always been a struggle for me to basically accept that I'm liked, accept that I'm good, that people want to be around me, want me in their lives and stuff, and to have so many people that did that. It really changed me, like I don't look at myself quite, I still have issues with it, it's not perfect, but I've gained a good amount of confidence from that. And that's something that I've needed maybe worse than anything, because fear has dominated me for so long, in different forms, that anytime I can grow my confidence, which, and lower that fear, it's a significant improvement for me. So that's the only thing that's the first thing that popped into my head. There might be something else, but I can't think of anything bigger or better, I should say. It wasn't the biggest thing that happened this year, but it was, probably for the best, because I've been working on myself, and going forward, it's a good launch pad,
I think there was a lot to that.
Yeah.
For you, there were other things that happened as a result of it, besides, feeling appreciated, but also being able to accept it.
Yes. Right. Because that's been an issue for me for a long time.
Yeah.
You just accepting praise or anything along those lines, or really not deflecting when somebody would say something. Yeah.
Well, because the only other event that I know that you did was that day that you actually went out and said, "What do you like about me?"
Oh, yeah. Which
on the entire freaking internet.
Which basically was kind of the same thing, except
same thing though. Yeah.
Yeah. But so really for me, it's honestly, it's a combination of those two things, but it's mostly, because think about it this way. I've never been one to really share my art. Toward the end of the year, I've been posting old art of mine on Instagram. I haven't posted it in a while, but I was doing it like once every other day or once a day, just putting it out there. And,
that's cool.
I don't know if a year ago if I would have done that, So, yep, I definitely think that's my answer. So,
it's a good one.
Yep. All right. I think that's it. You got anything else?
Other than just the
show me what you got.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And you can give us a call if you want to give not me, but you can give Tony and Bryan a call on their voicemail at 415-857-2589. That's 857-2589 if you want to give a nice detailed description of the best thing that happened to you in 2017. Mm-hmm. And also, if you do respond on Twitter, please use the hashtag Q of the W. It helps them find it.
Yeah, very much so. Or we'll have a post over on Facebook if you want to type a big story over there too, that's fine. So, yeah. All right. Well, I guess I should tell you to go to saltylanguage.com and click on all the links. I don't know when Tony will have the show or the site updated, so, it might be a little bit, but, the show notes will have all the links in them if you need them. And, but on the website, you can get all of our episodes. You can get, you can see the networks we're part of, such as the, Tangent Bound Network, the Geek Life Radio playlist, and
Danger! Watch your back! Danger!
Entertainment.
Like a glove.
Yep.
Oh, yeah!
Nice. All of our
Smooth.
all of our social media links are on the site. Also, we're available on Spotify now. So if you use Spotify, or if you're telling friends about the show, if they use Spotify, you can do that rather than having to download anything. Just search Salty Language, and maybe why not The Crazy Life while you're at it. So
Yeah. Check us out over there.
Yeah,
if you are planning on doing some shopping, like yesterday, I bought a bed for my wife and a case of Diet Red Bull for myself. You first scroll down to the bottom of the Salty Language page, and you will find a link to Amazon. Click on that link. It will just send you over to Amazon. It just remembers that how you got there, and the Salty Language boys get a wee taste of that, a wee wetting of the beak.
Yeah, definitely. Or if you want to help us out by going over to, there's a link on the website for Patreon. It'll take you over to patreon.com, where you can basically pledge to donate money to us. You can do a one-time thing, and then once it's taken, then cancel it. Or you can, do any amount that you want pretty much, per month or however you want to do it. And anything is, appreciated to just, help keep the lights on. Also, if you want to help us out, another way would be, if you're on iTunes, rate, review, and subscribe to us. If you haven't already, subscribe us. And, if you're using Stitcher or Spotify or other apps, please use the like or share option, to help us move up the search on the website and such. I feel like I'm forgetting something there. All right. Like I said before, all of our social media links are on the website also. You can find us on Twitter at salty_language. You can find me at Stunami. Guess you can find Tony at Monotony if you want to bother with him.
You really have to.
Yeah. What about you, Henno?
You can find me at Ida Henno on Twitter. And also, I think I'm also that now on Snapchat, and I don't know what I am on Snapchat now that I think about it. But I've been trying to be, I'm learning how Snapchat actually works, and I'm trying to do it.
Right. I believe we're at...
It's actually kind of fun.
Yeah, it can be. I believe we're at Salty Language Pod. I'm at Ninjitsu.
Yeah, you are.
On Snapchat. Tony's been posting more stuff over at Instagram, which I believe we're just Salty Language over there. Yeah, I don't know, whatever. All the links are on the website. Well, not Henno's links, but the rest of them. They'll be in the show notes, but they won't be on the website, I guess. I don't know, whatever. So, all right. I feel like I'm forgetting something here. Nope. If I am, oh well. If you've listened before, you probably already know. Or again, if you have any questions, or that's what I was going to say. Do you want to plug your podcast, your other podcast?
Oh yeah, I do a podcast dedicated to the television show Gotham. It's a fan cast, and next year we're going to have a special surprise. So maybe we're going to try to throw a promo out there for everyone. But Gotham's going to be on break until I don't know, March or April. But Stephanie and I are going to do a podcast on in the meantime. So stay tuned, keep a lookout, and we are going to be accepting guests. So that surprise will be announced next week. We're at Gotham Lights on Twitter, Gotham Lights Podcast on gmail.com. Thanks, Brian.
Yep. No problem. And then, of course, you can find Henno and I
Yes.
just about every week on The Crazy Life. So go check that out. Just anywhere you're already looking for podcasts, just type in The Crazy Life and it should come up.
You'll find it.
Yeah. So, all right. I guess with that, have a beer, you'll be fine.
And stay salty and brothy.
Oh, my. And, I guess I'll just say, Happy New Year. Because
Happy New Year.
This comes out on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, something like that. So, Happy New Year to everyone. if you listen to this on New Year's Eve, don't go out and be stupid. There's a lot of free rides out there to get you home. Or better yet, just don't go out because it's amateur night. So, just be careful because, don't want anyone to lose loved ones for such a stupid reason. So, all right. Talk to you next week.